All right, everybody, Gabe Jenkins back with you, here to do a quick preview of SolidWorks part number 12. You can see, if you look over here, there aren't that many dimensions on this shape. It's actually quite simple to understand what you're trying to create. The question is, can you figure out how to do it? We're using mmgs as our unit, so millimeters and grams as our units. We're doing it with pure gold. Pure gold. There in the mass, if we do it the way I did it, is going to be 34.17 grams. We are going to use the revolved cut tool again, just like we did on an earlier assignment. We've used it, I think, twice now, where we make a sketch and then we use that as kind of like a slicing cut to spin around some kind of a central axis and cut everything it touches. We're going to get a little bit more practice using reference geometry. And this time we're going to create a point. And I know it sounds kind of ludicrous and silly to say, I'm gonna make SolidWorks understand that there is a point I want here in my diagram. But it's useful because if you want to anchor something to a specific point, like if you want to anchor part of a sketch to a point that doesn't exist anywhere in your diagram, you kind of have to define where that point is in space or within the SolidWorks space in order to tell it this is an important point that I'm going to like draw something from. So we're going to see we're gonna see where that shows up in this shape as well. Lastly, we're going to use the circular array tool just like we used it a couple of times. We're going to create one feature and then make multiple copies of it around a central axis. So we're going to have to like define where that axis is as well. Using reference geometry, we're going to have to create our own axis. So that's what we're doing. So let's come on over here to our shape, and you're going to see over here there's a number of steps. So this is what the final product looks like. Here's how I did it. I'm going to show you step by step. I'm not going to explain every single step because most of these are things we've done before. But I started off, whoop, cool. Let's just make everything kind of smaller. I hope you understand now that you can, if you want to see any sketch that a feature is based on, you can just expand it using that little button right there, the little arrow. But all right, so I started off just by making a hexagon and extruding it. Then I took a circle, drew that on top of the shape and extruded it down through. Then I created along a face here, I made a new sketch and used extruded cut to cut out that kind of U-shaped feature right there. Next, I decided my plan was to take that cut feature and replicate it 6 times around a central axis. Then I realized, oh, I got to make my own axis. So I did that. And so I made an axis by making SolidWorks understand that in between like 2 planes that crossed like this, I wanted a line that went right through both of them, because anytime 2 planes intersect, the intersection is a line geometrically, Euclidean geometrically. All right, so I made that axis, and then I did a circular pattern to make a copy of that cutout along each face. And then I realized, you know what? The last thing to really do was to make these little chamfered edges, these little kind of like corners right there. And I played around with the chamfer tool for a while. I didn't see anything that looked like it was going to work the way I wanted it to. And so what I decided to do instead was to make my own little sketch, right? So let me show you what I did. So by clicking these and hitting the eyeball, it shows what these things look like. I made a sketch, and on that sketch, I made a little line that connected here to here, this point to that point. And then I established the midpoint of that line. I told it I wanted to make it a reference geometric point, a reference geometry point, okay? So by doing so, I'm now able to draw on a plane and use that point as part of my next step, right? So my next step was, you'll see here, was to create a sketch. And my sketch relied on that point. So I had to make a sketch that went from here to here, and I needed that point in order to do it. So I made that sketch, and then I revolved around my central axis that I had already created. Boom. And then I did the same thing on the bottom of my shape. Once I've done the bottom one and the top one, I was done. So if you did it like I did it, it's really not that many steps, but it's a good practice tool because it lets you see again how to build something with some revolved cuts and some using the circular array, kind of trying to get practice making things that are more radially symmetric, not just bilaterally symmetric, not just left and right are the same or top and bottom are the same, but something that is kind of like repeated around a central axis. Because a lot of stuff in manufacturing and engineering is based on the idea of circles and shapes around a central axis. So that's it. Hope you have a good time with this one. Pure gold. And our mass, if we do it one more time, if we do it our mass correctly, we're going to get 34.17 grams. All right, everybody. Have a great day.